You mistake me for some kind of cowardly deserter?
No, sir. You Master Reeves, through and through.
If you take the Nigerian accent like this and you slow it down, you put a lot of slavery in there.
Facts.
And then you start to put a little bit of subservience in it. This is what starts to happen to the Nigerian accent.
Man.
Peace. One of my favorite historical figures is Lawman Bass Reeves. And that's not coming from somebody who's all hat, no cattle. I come from a long line of Gullah Geechee cowboys. Brother, daddy, granddaddy, cattle, steeds, farm animals, gardening, the whole nine. So imagine my delight when I found out that Lawman Bass Reeves was going to be turned into a TV show. I had an idea of who I envisioned playing Bass Reeves, and that wasn't David Oyelowo, but you know what? He's a great actor. Wasn't tripping. Even when I heard his Bass Reeves accent, it wasn't like given authenticity like I had hoped it would, but hey, it is what it is. Until I got tagged in the post at the beginning of this video. Because rather than drawing from Bass Reeves' known multi-dialectal lexicon, where Bass Reeves drew not only from his own African heritage languages, but he also drew from the local white Southern accents that were informed by British, Scottish, Irish. Bass Reeves figured out how to absorb all of those accents, including learning the languages of some local indigenous people. And that helped to make him a masterful lawman who would put on disguises, use different accents and different voices in order to capture fugitives. And I knew that, not only as someone who's a Black Southerner myself, but also as a sociolinguist, dialect and accent coach for film, television, and theater. Instead of any of those factors going into how David came up with his slave accent, he described it as simply taking the Nigerian accent, slowing it down.
Put a little bit of subservience in it.
Subservience. That is the active ingredient that David believes helped him perfect the Black Southern accent.
Can't figure how the general didn't find you sweet like honey.
Subservience. Never mind the fact that our enslaved ancestors who were transported from Africa in chains were stolen from various parts of Africa, mainly West Africa. Only 15% of whom in the Carolinas came from Nigeria. So there's actual accent variety coming from the motherland. But none of that was the active ingredient that went into you perfecting the slave accent. It was slow subservience. That you can speed it up and become Nigerian again to represent freedom.
If you're down here and you start to speed it up, and then you start to take all the thing out of it, then before you know it, you're talking like this.
Now we are free again.
Now we are free. We are released.
Hey.
The Nigerian accent represents emancipation, freedom, we free again, as opposed to the Black American slave accent. You know, the irony of this level of ignorance is that this is coming from people who really boost up and uphold colonial speech, such as Shakespearean English, as the pinnacle of perfecting the language of status and class. Having a command of that received English is showing a sense of power, yet that accent is totally fake. That's right. The received English that we associate with Shakespeare, that's not what the people of Shakespeare's time actually spoke like. That's an artistic interpretation, a device used by posh folk to separate themselves from the common folk.
My name is Caius Marcius, who hath done to thee particularly, and to all the Volskis, great hurt and mischief. Thereto witness may my surname, Coriolanus.
So it's ironic that someone who thinks that perfecting this posh, pretentious, pompous manner of speech doesn't see that as a subservient accent for a Black man whose people was brought to that land in chains. Or maybe they were not. And that might be the difference.
I do a Southern accent?
No, the way he just did that whole thing, go ahead.
For some odd reason on this particular program, the Southern Blaccent gets kicked around a little. Somehow there's always some backhanded statement made about it, even if there's a little something said at the end to kind of smooth it over. Like when Sis said, if you ain't talking to her in Kiswahili, don't talk to her but talk in white.
Come to me in Kiswahili, then we can have a conversation. I'm trying to understand the pre-colonial mind, but how do I do that when all I know are colonial languages? That affects how we think.
They don't know
We're
that.
talking to Southern Black folks that are like,
Despite all the fingerprints of the grubby hands of British and German folk all over Kiswahili. But I digress. The active ingredient in the Southern Blaccent is not subservience. Do Bass Reeves and us justice. We out here.